this live feed just started before I was ready to. It has been an interesting day here at Casa de Crazy Sharp. Let's just do this. I wasn't even done doing the title for it, and all of a sudden it just started. I started getting a countdown 3, 2, 1. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Today has been a cavalcade of just shit. This is not going to be a family friendly live feed, not like my typical live feeds where I try to keep it PJ. Today's just fucking falling apart. This wasn't even supposed to start yet. This live feed was supposed to, I wanted to get a thumbnail and some other pictures and finish getting stuff set up. And the theme of today is fucking shit. Go to shit. Everything's falling apart. This is not going to be monetized, guys. If you want to drop a super chat, I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. So this morning, I got up at 4 a.m. with every intention of filming. I got up, I set everything up. I got the tripods and everything, get ready to set up. First thing I do is I grab my tripod, I get ready to set it up, and I notice it's acting weird. And so I went ahead and set it up anyway, and I put my brand new camera and mount on it. One of these, which now is broken. I have to get a new one. There's stuff coming. Luckily, there is a camera shop in San Diego that is an all online vendor, but they do deliver locally. So they're providing me with the stuff but at any rate, I start setting everything up, and all of a sudden I realize my tripod falls over and breaks the mount for my new camera. I took this off because this is the good one. This is one that I use on another thing, but the other tripod has a different size mount. I use this on a monopod as well for that other camera that I have. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And I go to pick up the tripod, and you could see there's distinctly a piece of it missing because it broke off and fell out. But the reason it fell over is because this leg, they don't stand up good without the leg. The thing that mounts the leg to it is suspiciously missing. I have no idea. Like, a lot of people that know me would be like, you got mad and threw it, didn't you? And typically I'd be like, that's a good guess. Typically, that would be the guess that I would go with, but not today. So I have a brand new tripod and camera mount coming that I had to pay for. No clue what happened to that tripod. It was fine when I took it to Chris and Elliot's. It was fine when we used it for the live feed yesterday. I got it off the shelf and I set it up and the fucking thing fell over and broke. Luckily, where's the camera? Luckily, my B-roll camera is not damaged. Like, I tested it and everything. The camera is not damaged, and which makes sense because it's an action cam, right? But there is a spot right here. You see that distinctive mark right here on the corner? That's where it fell. It fell and landed, and it knocked it pretty off my new camera. This is my B-roll camera. So I thought, since today's just going sideways, this is not a higher end tripod. It's like, I don't know exactly what happened to it, John Chapstick. I haven't seen you on here for a while. I really don't know what happened. The one I got is a higher end one. They made a recommendation. They're like, well, if you've used a tripod a lot, and I was like, I do. They're like, can we recommend it? I was like, it is not super expensive, but it is probably better than what you got. And luckily, they deliver. They have the specific mount for my camera because I broke one of those off. They have the specific mount for it because it's kind of a proprietary mount for this, for my B-roll camera. It's just, this piece completely broke. So that's going to be fun. I figured, John, well, you've been on live feeds before, but I thought, well, let's just take a mental health day. I talked to Scab earlier. Here's the thing, I used that tripod. I used that exact tripod to film that short you guys saw today, the one that went up where I clipped his thing where I was talking about the other things you can do humorously with this, like trimming your nose hair. And I used that tripod to film that video. So I have no idea how going from inside the house back out to the studio. Oh, Jimmy. I don't know how that even happened. I have no idea how I managed to break that tripod from my living room the 35 feet maybe into the studio. I have no idea. Now, typically, like I said, though, most people, because I was having a kind of a bad, on top of everything else, the reason that the audio sucked in the short was the microphone system that I use, for some reason, did not want to work. Every time I turned it on, I couldn't get the microphones to connect. I tried to do a reset locally. I had to get my computer out. I had to get the company online to, after I filmed the short, I got the company online to help me do exactly what I need to do. They walked me through it. I had to do a firmware reinstall of the firmware on the receiver and microphone system. So I'm at this point, I'm like, my delivery is not going to be here till like this afternoon. They do have a guy that delivers locally if you're in the area. It's not costing me anything on delivery, but I just have to wait till they get done and he does. So basically their daily shipping run. And whenever he does it, he's going to drop that off at my address. Don't do it, says Goku. If you guys are looking for shooting video with audio is black magic. I'll stick to photos only. I've got it pretty much down to where I can even consolidate multiple clips and sync the audio. These microphones are great. They do, if I'm recording a video, I can actually record locally onto this, like 7 hours worth of audio. I can save on this locally so that if there is an issue with so the way it works is the microphone connects via radio signal to the receiver. I am not having a great day Friday night fishing club. I am not. Everything has just went to shit today. So at any rate, the receiver that I'm using to connect to my phone right now, and I also use to connect to my cameras, if there's a hitch in, like sometimes it drops audio and it doesn't record all of it, the nice thing is I can just push a button and record locally to here. And then when I get ready to do the video, if I notice there's any audio, I can replace the audio track on the video just simply by dropping that track in and syncing the audio file to the video. And it does it. There's a way to do it. Alex over at Outdoors 55 taught me how to do it because he uses the same software I use. Hey, Emler, how's the shoulder? Shoulder's not great. But on top of everything else that has gone wrong today, I had been reaching out to the company that hired me. And I guess I had gotten a misunderstanding. I got hired for a job. I can't tell you what it is. Basically, it's Triple Canopy, which is a company that basically it's Blackwater that renamed itself. And I can't really talk about the job or anything because, you know, it's a new job and they are a very private company. So I was under the assumption that I was supposed to start work this week. I got a message last week. They're like, yep, you're going to be Wednesday through Sunday, 2 to 6. And then we'll let you know when you're supposed to be coming in, right? And guys, if you're here, please drop a like. It would make me happier than I am now. And so they were like, we'll call you before Wednesday. And that was Monday last week. And so I'm like, Thursday or Friday last week, I was like, that's weird. Let me reach out. So I reached out and they were like, oh yeah, well, we thought the training was going to start, but it's not. And it's not their fault. I'm not upset with them, but it was just like all this stress on top of that. I find out that no, I don't start work this week. So I was going to film all day today. And then, like I said, my equipment crapped out. That tripod just fell. Like the tripod's not such a big deal. I probably could have found a tripod at Walmart or something like that just to get me through. And I do have another tripod, but it's not set up or anywhere as because I had this one basically set up the way I want. And what I'm getting is really similar, just more expensive, just a better tripod. But I do have a smaller tripod that I could have used, but it's what I use for my B-roll camera. And I have another one that I use for the green screen stuff, but neither one of those are as stable as that one was. It didn't have as wide a base, so you got a lot more jiggle and things like that. And I just didn't like those tripods. I didn't like how they worked. And so they're relegated to basically, you can just set them up and set the camera on it and then just for not have to deal with it. They're not real adjustable. So I was like, I could film, but like everything just went wrong. But when that tripod fell over, I was like, well, now, let me explain why. These mounts that are on here, I've got different things that I can mount to this, like this. These magnetic plates are on this. When the other one of these broke, I'm like, shit. These are great because they're just like little magnetic clasps, and I can set up my phone. When I had the other camera, that I was using, that the company that I bought it from absolutely took the money back and gave me a full refund, or gave my money back, gave me a full refund, and accepted the camera because I had it less than 30 days. These were great, and I broke one of these. It completely came apart. So I'm limited. Now I would have to basically shift things, and I could only use one camera, which is not how I intended to film today. So it's just frustrating, and it just seems like when something does go wrong, it all goes wrong. Everything, just all at once. It all falls apart. It's like the snowball effect. Like everything just starts going bad. You hit a deer. John, you must be in the Midwest. Are you in the Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky area? Or as we like to, the northern Pennsylvania region of the country? Because like basically that's why nobody has nice cars back home where I grew up. Because you're going to hit a deer at least once a year. The likelihood of you hitting a deer once a year is very, very high. New Jersey, oh yeah, New Jersey, New York, upstate New York, those are as well. Guys, I don't know where everybody here is from, but a lot of times people just immediately hear New York, New Jersey, and they think cities in New York and New Jersey. And it's not. It's not like that. I've been in upstate New York. I've been in New Jersey. There are some really rough areas. As a matter of fact, Brian Nadeau lives in New Jersey, and he more than once has sent me videos of bears knocking over his trash cans in his driveway. So it's not just all the city that you guys see. It's not. There's a lot in. I like some of upstate New York is some of the prettiest country I've ever seen. My like for you today, cool. Voltor sores. You got some Voltor sores? Like, I don't know what kind of sores those are, but they sound like they might be uncomfortable. And if you guys are here, please drop a like. I was going to film. If you guys want to know what I was going to film today, it was going to be this. And a lot of my friends have seen this and are like, oh, you broke your OTF. And I'm like, no. So people will pick this up and they're like, oh, cool. Oh, it's broken. No. This is one of the more unique gravity knives. I don't necessarily like it that much. Well, you know what? The same thing goes, John, the same thing goes here in San Diego. Like when people ask me, well, why do you carry have a sword cane? Like, why do you need that? What do you need that big ass knife for? Why do you carry a big fixed blade when you go for walks with the dog after dark? We have mountain lions in my neighborhood. My neighbor has woke up in the morning and seen a mountain lion laying on his kid's trampoline in the yard at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I have seen mountain lions walking across the road, up the road from me. So I carry either a great big stick. I mean, with a mountain lion, you got to have something. I have really, no joke, we got coyotes, we got mountain lions, we have rattlesnakes. I do carry this on my walk with the dog a lot now because this is easier to carry than a fixed blade, if you want to know the truth. At least I've got something that is more capable of defending myself against a mountain lion. But people are like, well, you live in San Diego. I live outside of San Diego, right up against the mountains. Like my yard, like from my yard, yeah, you can see the road, but on the other side of that is basically the mountains. And like I said, guys, if you're here, 25 people here, only 9 likes. All you gotta do is double tap that screen. That's all it takes. It's all it takes. So yeah, I had no intention of doing a live feed. Oh, and let me know if the microphone's hooked up properly. I tested it, but I didn't really know if it was working. I'm going to grab my coffee cup. Well, shit. Well, I was going to grab my coffee cup, but I forgot. Well, was it fine when I was walking away? Oh, we see coyotes in our yard all the time. We've seen coyotes in our yard. The other day, I had a homeless dude in my yard. Homeless dude, illegal immigrant, who knows? I'm like one exit from the border. Probably a little bit of column A, column B. Was standing, I hopped over the fence into my backyard, and I fucking grabbed my pistol, and I walked out, and I was like, hey, partner, wrong fucking yard. I think you need to find your way out, like right now. And he's looking down, and it's got a flashlight, a little green dot on his chest. I was like, you need to get the fuck out of my yard. Post haste. You need to DD most haste. I'm trying to get this put. There we go. So, bro, we have mountain lions in Orange County. Some trail biker. Yeah. Or up in Orange County, up outside of LA, outside the mountains. People just immediately they see, like when you drive to Los Angeles, like Los Angeles is a big city, but it's not a. I mean, it's kind of spread out. It's like San Diego, but it's like not anywhere near as big. Where was he at? Oh, at an outdoor show. He shot me out in a video. So did Ricky when they did the video about the Bob Truzola stuff. Yeah, homeless dude in my yard, and that was the day that I did the video about like knives that you should have, even though they're kind of cheap. Like I was talking about this hobo camp. What do you want to call it? Camp fucking kit. That I have, and I was like, a hobo in your back pocket is fine. A hobo in your backyard poses a problem. Yeah, this dude, I went out in the yard with a pistol, green dot laser and a flashlight, like dead center on his chest. And I'm like, bro, there's the gate. You need to see your fucking way out. So go tell your friends not to jump over that fence there, because next time is not gonna be anywhere near as cordial. Kane Miranda, how are you? Yeah, like I was saying, I carry this. I started carrying this a lot. Well, technically, I'm carrying this every day right now. And people are like, that's a stupid knife. Agreed. For a lot of purposes, this is a stupid knife. But the fact is, I am doing a video. That's what this channel is about. Can you carry this? And so I've been carrying this. I'm going to start filming some of my day-to-day tasks with it. That's what I keep forgetting to do. I've been carrying it for like a week. I think I'm going to carry this for like 2 weeks, maybe longer, just to see, like, is this a viable choice as EDC? And so far, I'm carrying it in my pocket. It rides, dude, like, I honestly am so surprised. Let me move my microphone because I don't want to accidentally cut my cord. I am super surprised at how easily this carries. Let's see, this might fuck up the audio. It carries right there. It is super easy to carry. Now, this pair of pants has some really torn up pockets, and there's like a catch trying to get it out of my pocket. So it catches right here every once in a while before I get to the point where I'm trying to, but in pocket, it's not a joke. It is one of the more comfortable knives I own to carry. It really is. I sat on the couch. So yesterday I did the live feed, and I thought, okay, I want to film. And then I got distracted by some stuff. And then come about 5:30, I was like, you know what? I don't want to start getting into filming. Because when I film, I'm going to break down. I'm going to start editing, and I'm going to break down all the equipment. Just leave everything be, and I was going to film today. And then, like I said, that's when I found my tripod broke and all that stuff. So, I just sat down on the couch, and I grabbed my Kindle, and I was like, you know what? I haven't taken a day where because usually I'm either filming or editing or scripting or testing and all that stuff that goes into video content creation. And I was like, I'm just going to sit down. And I sat on a couch and I read, and I got ready to get up to take the dog for a walk. And I realized I've been sitting on a couch for like 2 hours reading with this in my pocket and this in my pocket. So I was carrying both of these, surprisingly comfortable to carry. This knife is as comfortable to carry as most of my smaller knives. No, you have not. This knife is even more comfortable, which is just the smaller version of this. I love both of these. I like the Espada XL. I really have kind of changed my mind on that. But as a matter of fact, thank you for reminding me, Kane. I got to reach out to Bruce over there and find out exactly what's going on. This is about the perfect size. I just got a message. Hang on a second. Don't go anywhere. I got to put this in Do Not Disturb. Otherwise, we're going to have the same stuff that will go on that happened yesterday, where I got a phone call in the middle of everything. But yeah, today just kind of fell apart. So let's do some question and answer. We've been messing around for like 20 minutes, just me talking. But as far as question and answer so far, like if you guys want to buy these knives, use my Blade HQ. I don't like balisongs. They're not something I enjoy. I do like some of the gravity knives. Back to this. Yeah, I was talking about this. This is a unique gravity knife from Hermet called the Swordfish. And I'm like, it's not bad. I like the XO gravity knife a lot better. The XO, which I put away. You know what I should be doing? I should be just like chilling and relaxing, wearing my camouflage smoking jacket. One of my viewers told me that they call Scab the Hugh Hefner of hillbillies, because he started doing shorts and videos of him in his robe. I happen to have a camouflage smoking jacket, and I should definitely be doing videos wearing this. I think this is the best gravity knife on the market. There is one with a lock on it. I mentioned that in a video I did about it, but I think this is just the better overall gravity knife. And this is a surprisingly functional one too, with really good blade shape and everything, and so comfortable in hand. So the largest spot is really equivalent to the Voyager XL. Somebody asked me how I carry this. I have a slip that this goes in that just is perfect for this knife. And it makes it easy to carry. Otherwise, you can't carry that. That's not like something you can just throw in your pocket. You'll puncture a testicle. Like, oh, my dickhead. I wanted to talk about something. Everybody told me I screwed up. They're like, oh, you should have gotten the higher end version of the Espada and the Espada XL. I like this better. I've handled the large Espada. I've handled one, and I never owned one, but I was like, this is better. I like the steel better. I like the way the grip feels in hand. It's lighter. It's definitely lighter. There's times where the more expensive version of something isn't all that good. Yeah, for sure. I've ruined expensive knives too, though. Don't worry, Mike fixed an S90V Manix for me years back, but I ruined that too. Yeah, I imagine you did. Cold Steel is starting to produce the Recon XL again. So I talked with a friend of mine that does know kind of some ins and outs of what's going on with Cold Steel. They didn't tell me a lot, but they said there will be some of the knives that were popular back in the day start making a resurgence, and I'm hoping so. Yeah, the aluminum versions, that's the thing. They just feel too big. Like this sits in pocket really, really nice because it's thin. It's broad enough here that it's comfortable, but it's not thick so it doesn't feel oversized. Like this is a 12.5-inch knife. This would feel really weird in hand if it was a full size, right? Now, I mean, I'm a big guy. Like I've said a bunch of times, I'm 6'3", and I wear triple XL gloves. This is a 12-inch knife. It's a big knife, but the nice thing about it is nothing on this is sharp. Nothing on this is uncomfortable. Nothing on this is cramped. And I do have a problem with some knives feeling like I'm cramped with big hands. You know what I mean? This one, not the case. This thing's perfect. This is 9¼ inches. Beautiful size on this. This thing's, yeah, the Espada XL. I think the Espada XL is a little bit of overkill. Gun cotton. I kind of do. But at the same time, for some things, it's not. That's why when I did that video, how big is too big, there are scenarios where I absolutely would carry this. Like I said, when I go on the night walk with the dog, I go on about a 5-mile walk with the dog. I'm walking in areas, and so which you don't know about the area I'm at. Yeah, I'm in a residential area, but when I get to the top of the hill, and I can look down and I can see the ocean, I cut down and I go back down the other side of the hill towards the trolley station where my daughter gets on the trolley, and I come back the other road and come back up to the house. It's about 5 miles round trip, a little bit more, probably about 6.5 maybe. So there's a big section of that is just open lots, right? There's a big section of that is just open lots and scrub and bushes and things like that. Well, if you're going to run into a mountain lion or a coyote, that's probably where you're going to run into them. That's where you're going to see them because it's open on both sides. There's no houses. There's no buildings. There's not even really a couple spots where there's some fenced in area. But I mean, still, it is basically wilderness up where the mountain comes down. Now, the 805 does intersect that area, but there's still mountain lions and stuff in that area. I know because I've heard them at night on a walk up there. But I carry this. So this is a relatively easy to deploy tool that I could use. And for something like a mountain lion, I'm not gonna lie, absolutely agree with what Lynn Thompson was saying about getting in that back grip. I now have got some distance between me and a wild animal. So it's actually a really good, it's a good knife for that purpose. I could carry a fixed blade, and I have carried a fixed blade a lot. Most of the time, if I'm going to carry a fixed blade on my evening walk, I'm carrying this. I have to fuck around with the sheath and snap and stuff on this, right? And I don't have anywhere near as much blade. So I've come to the conclusion that there are a bunch of scenarios where I may have said in the past that this was ridiculous, but there's a lot of scenarios now where I'm like, yeah, you absolutely can use this. So I just picked up a Formax Scout Aus 10. It's a bit heavier, but what a knife for the money. Those knives are so thick though. Like this, for as big as it is not super thick. It does a really good, hey, not going to feature the trolls. Fuck off. Bye. Fucking trolls. Do the Elon salute. Did they give you pudding when they let you out of the like in the facility where you live? Because you obviously are too fucking dumb to live alone. Did they give you pudding before they let you in a rec room to get access to the computer? Fucking dumbasses. Hey, pudding! Do the Elon salute. Guarantee that person is as dumb as you can be and still live alone. Yeah, this thing, easy to deploy, easy to carry. I don't have to put it on my belt, mess around with it. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. If you're going to come here and be stupid, you're going to be escorted out, away. So, blue hair poison dart frog. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm really impressed with how easy this is to carry. And now that it's broken in, the deployment on it is just ridiculously easy. I want to put this in perspective. That is 16 3/4 inches, and I just thumb rolled that open. That is a 7.5 inch blade, and I just rolled that open with my thumb. They definitely have got it. I remember when they first started making triad locks. I just said no politics. No politics. Drop politics, you're out. Let's see here. Emler, I'm looking for a knife for backpacking that isn't very heavy, can still do everything. Good for self-defense. Any suggestions? Knives and pizza. I was going to say, this would be a great pack knife. If you want something not quite as big, the largest bottle, this is 12 1/4 inches overall. It's a pretty good camp knife. You could throw it in a pack. If you combine it with a good trail hatchet, this is a lighter package than this, which is the Grizzly, and you got more capabilities. You see what I'm saying? I can't remember. Yeah, the original triads. Let's see here. Let's see. Stay on topic. Black Rhino was the first. I can't remember what the first triad lock knife I saw was, but it was super, super hard to deploy. Like, it was not smooth. Like, it just felt, it was definitely a two-hand opener. Like this one, you can definitely just thumb roll it open on the 12-inch version, the 12 1/4, the largest bottle. This would be something I would recommend. You can do a lot with this, and you can still do some chopping and things if you needed to, but this is going to be big task stuff, but you can also do a lot of other stuff. Well, like I said, knives and pizza, don't forget, I'm not a normal-sized human being. I actually had to modify the workbench out here so that it's taller. But this is the largest bottle. It's the 12 1/4 inch. I think for most people, this would be too big, but like I said, you could get away with a lot of chopping with this as well. I just don't think you need, I mean, but you could, here's the flip side of that. You could use this like a machete if you needed to, because you've got that longer grip. And if you really needed to chop, you've got a double. I mean, there's just a lot of things that now have really started to appeal to me. And the edge retention on this is very good so far. I haven't done a lot of stuff. My shoulder's been acting up, so I haven't done like a bunch of chopping or cutting hardwood or stuff like that with this. But I have cut a lot of cardboard and stuff with, and I gotta say, the AUS 10 on this came pretty good. This one I did have to, I had to do a little bit of just touch to the edge on a ceramic rod. It did have a bit of a burr on it, and I was afraid that that burr was gonna be like hard to remove, and it was because there was times, hey, Buster Bear, guess what? Goodbye. Fucking retards. At any rate, this one had a little bit of burr, and I was afraid that I was going to have to fight with that because AUS 10 has in the past, Peterbilt Knife Guy, AUS 10 in the past has had problems with deburring. And I think it was heat treat stuff. This one came with a slight burr on this side, right? Which would be the show scale on a flipper knife. Came with a slight burr, and I just hit it on a ceramic rod, just enough. And I was like, okay, burr's gone, and I stropped it, and it has held its edge really, really well with a lot of, I have used this for a lot. This gets carried a lot, too. I did, however, catch the pocket clip on something and wang it out a little bit, and I thought I was going to fix it, but you know what? It still works in and out of pocket. It's easier to get out of pocket a little bit with that little bit of less tension on that. But snap it open like that if it's in hand. Very, very good. I'm going to tell you, this is in a good position for self-defense. It's got a really good blade for slashing, if that's what you're into. Not so much the piercing, because it is kind of a clip point, so it's a little bit swept back. But for slashing, boy, let me tell you, that radius on that blade and the length of that blade, oh, son, you're going to do some damage. Yeah, they're coming out of work today. I don't like people are like, hey, let me go into somebody's fucking live feed and say something stupid and racist. Somebody's parents smoked and drank when they were in the womb. I'm going to tell you right now, John, if you're going to do it, like I have links to. Oh, hey, here's one. Look, that person right there. You know what? I guarantee your father looks at you every day and is like, fuck, where did we go wrong? Oh, don't worry, I got this one. I just start blocking people completely. Like they can't, like they would have to make a new account. But this one is like this gently, just this one's really broken in compared to the other one. Great. I don't care where you read. Like, that's right. Hi to you too. Don't say anything political. Don't say anything religious. Really don't. Thanks for stopping by from Iran. That's cool. Like, snapping this one open is actually easier because of the weight of the blade. And this one has a very good, powerful chop to it. If you're really looking for a camp knife, if you're looking for a really good camp knife, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to take a hatchet, this one, like I've said a bunch of times in live feeds, probably the best fixed blade. I haven't carried this in a couple days, but typically this is a Mark Burris. Somebody didn't get enough oxygen in the womb. This thing is like, just for overall, like an outdoors knife. This, Mark, I would tell you to use my GP knives and go find Lon Humphrey Customs on GP knives. His stuff is like, all the stuff I've seen has just been amazing. I absolutely love this. No. I just wanted to catch it. I just wanted to nip it in the butt because people come on here and want to start talking about Palpatine and Israel and all that stuff. I don't want it here. You know, like I just don't want it here. It wasn't being mean. It's a preemptive strike. Because usually that leads to the next thing is going to be political questions and things like that. I don't like politics. I don't like religion. And I see too many other channels that get sucked into that. And then they alienate a good chunk of their, their subscribership, their viewership. And then they can't figure out why their views count is down and why people aren't stopping by. I just prefer not to have it. The Lon Humphrey is amazing. So this is the Lon Humphrey Customs Tucson. Let me turn it around so you can get a better view of it because it's absolutely just an amazing knife. And these are under 400. I think these ones, hang on a second, I'll tell you right now because they're on. You guys know I have Guys, I support the channel with affiliate links, so if you see knives on this channel, go check out the affiliate links. Most of the stuff you're going to see is on Blade HQ, but you can also find it on GP Knives and Knives Ship Free. On Knives Ship Free, hang on a second, let me look here. Knives Ship Free. Knives Ship Free is Lon Humphrey. It's not GP Knives, it's Knives Ship Free, I'm sorry. I have a link down below to Knives Ship Free. Let me search Humphrey. Okay, so Lon Humphrey's knives, this exact knife, the Tucson is currently, trying to find it here. Most of his knives are like 350-ish. Let me see here. Oh, that's why. That's why. I've not got the full page out here. The Ranger, Minuteman, he has a ton of knives. The minigun, 344, 360. I don't see one on here that's under 400. That's over 400, I mean. Most of them are all muskrat, bobtail, parabellum. I don't see this exact one. I don't see this exact one. But this was under 350. Have I eaten something with a bit too much spice? Oh, yeah, no, it's stuff break. So you guys that are joining late, I've had some serious problems with equipment today. Most people would think that I threw this, which would be a good guess coming from me. But my tripod, the leg completely came off, and when it failed, it fell over, and it also broke a camera mount and slammed my good new B-roll camera into the into the concrete out here in the studio. And I had problems. I had to reset. I had to do a trouble call with the company that makes my microphones, because it was I couldn't get the microphones to even really connect, and so I had to reset them and do a firmware reinstall. Why are you asking if I ate something spicy then? But yeah, like I was saying, these all Alon's knives, and the ones that he has, I saw one on there. Which one was it? Here, let me see. This one, the minigun. Oops. Here. That one. That's the one I was looking at. I was like, ooh, I really like that. And that is hand forged, same style handles, same sheath. And I was like, you know what? That is really good for $344. So that's on Knives Ship Free. So if you want to get one of those, use my Knives Ship Free link down below. Support the channel, because that's how I make the channel work. So yeah, I absolutely love Lon's work. This is absolutely amazing. And then the sheaths are they're simple, but they're really good, easy to carry, nice leather. It's just the perfect all-around. If you're just a country boy that needs a good knife, just perfect. Like I said a bunch of times, this would be something I would absolutely just have on the farm and carry around when I was growing up. Very similar to the knives I would have carried, just much better quality. So the type of knives that I carry and gravitate to haven't really changed that much over the year. What has changed, Gerber is not a good brand for knives. I would not buy a Gerber at this point. I wouldn't buy a Kershaw. I never liked ZT. I never liked Kershaw. There's a lot of brands out there that are pretty good. If you want American made, Spyderco has a lot of really good options. If you want a Benchmade, don't actually buy a Benchmade. Go to Hogue Knives and find whatever analog they have for whatever Benchmade it is you want, because it's going to be a better knife at a quarter of the cost, because Benchmade is a bunch of fucking money-grubbing shills that are, at this point, I'm going to say they're just stealing people's money. No, there's crazy people in the chat. I mean, they're in my chat. They're crazy. So I'm looking. There's something that I wanted to show you guys, and I had it in my head that I was going to show it to you guys, and now I can't remember what it was. At any rate, yeah, Benchmade is Gerber Strong. I've had some uses, but do I think the Ninja's low? I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. So I have no. Well, John, if you're buying a bunch of those, use my affiliate link. I have a Vosteed affiliate link down below. I have affiliate links for all of that stuff. What is a Hogue knife? Hogue is a channel, or a company, I mean. Hogue is a company that makes American-made knives. They make knives that are really similar to a lot of the Benchmades, but they are better quality and they are way cheaper. And so Hogue does a lot of work, a lot of really good knives. Like I said, American-made. They're made out of good quality material. I think a lot of the knives that they're doing are in Maximet now. Eddie screwed it up over Eddie. Gerber screwed it up over Eddie Grill. Who is Eddie? Are you talking about Bear Grylls? I don't know who that is. So I really don't. I imagine that you're talking about Bear Grylls. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they screwed. That was a garbage knife. Well, here's the thing. Most of their knives are just crap. They really, really are. Now, back in the day, I have a Gerber Gator somewhere. I had a couple of them, actually, when I was in the military. The problem with the Gerber Gators is they had that rubberized handle. No. No, I won't. Whoever that was, tell him I said happy birthday, but I'm not singing shit. Yeah, I had a couple Gerber Gators, and they were really good when I was in the military. But the problem was, go somewhere else, Phoebe. I'm not here to sing. Crazy Sharp, it's a knife channel. Boring conversation anyway. Sorry, I mean, I'm not in the mood to tolerate a bunch of people just coming in and putting up bullshit that's going to distract everyone. The problem with the chat when they get in here is it just really is, it distracts from everything, and then you lose track of it, and then I get distracted, and then you guys get irritated with me. So the original Gerbers had that rubberized handles on them, and they were great. But the second you got any oil or anything on them, anything that had a solvent to them, they started to melt, and they just basically fell apart. And then you have the sticky shit all over, and like you tried like doing, and it would just fall apart. I think I got the last one I had. We got JP5 on it. I forget what JP5 was the. It's the designator for the. It's basically it's gasoline. JP5 is basically gasoline. It was for the bladders for the rib or the inflatable boats for the SEAL teams. And I got JP5 all over it when we were moving the bladders, and it got spilled, and I got it on my gloves and on my hands and everything. And then I got my knife to cut something, and I got it on it. It just melted, like the handles all melted. I have a problem with, like, I will say cold steel, whatever rubber they use. Now, I wasn't a SEAL, by the way. Just to make it clear. Don't want anybody fucking saying it's stolen valor and shit. The stuff that cold steel uses are great. The handles that they use, they're Crayex. Absolutely. I was issued this on a deployment to go down range, and this got diesel fuel, all kinds of stuff all over it. And the handles never even, like, they never even got sticky. So this thing is the handles that are on this SRK. And this one's old enough. You guys want to know how old this one is. Like, I'm dating myself, but this is a cold steel SRK that was still made in the USA. So this has been around for a while. I've had this thing since before Securex was a thing. This is just a nylon sheath. So before Securex even came around. And the handles on this have never gotten sticky. They never came apart. So the Crayex that they use is really, really impregnable. I absolutely wish that more companies would use that. It's the only rubberized coating that I've had on the handles of knives that I did not hate. I love it. Yeah, it has the wider ricasso. That was like the newer ones are okay, but this thing's a tank. This thing is an absolute tank. I've pried with this. I've done all kinds of stuff with this that you just probably should not use a knife for. I've done a lot of stuff with this knife, and the carbon V steel, the carbon 5 steel, the carbon V steel that they used to use, I swear to God, is on that. It has to be on the list. Like you have diamond, you have emerald, and sapphire and ruby, and then that's the most. And then right after that, like it's got to be like the third hardest substance on the planet. It is some serious shit. Like this stuff is, it'll hold an edge forever. This thing has done so much stupid stuff, and it is still crazy sharp. Yeah, it won't. I don't. Yeah, so the Crayex stuff is just hands down the best handle material. My Taipan has got the Crayex handles, and the nice thing about Crayex is that when you've got it in hand, it feels sticky, right? It feels grippy, but it doesn't. It feels grippy, but it doesn't feel sticky. That's what I meant to say. So it doesn't feel like you're slippery, even when your hands are sweaty, but it's not sticky, which is what a lot of those rubberized coatings kind of do wrong. What is this? Kind of metal is that? On, what are you talking about? Roto Rudy, what are we talking about? On that knife, that was carbon V steel. It was something that it was a proprietary steel that Cold Steel used. I just sharpened my SRKC and my SC and used beeswax on them to use, like you suggested 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was the SRK. They used to do it in what they call carbon V steel or carbon 5 steel, and it was amazing. It would rust. It would rust like that. That's why the coating. The other thing is the coating on that. I don't know what coating they used to use, but it's not the same as what they use these days. This has been through some shit, and let's see here. Now, I'm not saying that the finish on it is still perfect, but this has been through some shit. It even went, somebody pulled it through a pull-through sharpener at one point. One of the guys, I let somebody borrow this, a few people borrow this from time to time. It's got some fucked up edge bevels from shit that my friends did when they borrowed it. But the finish on it, that coating is still on there. And I don't know what it was that they used. So, yeah, beeswax. Beeswax is pretty good. You can get all kinds of things. The SK5 is fine. Yeah, you can get all kinds of things to preserve steel. I don't know. I've never owned enough stuff. Truck bed liner. That's what I was getting ready to say. It's like truck bed liner. That shit's impregnable. It's impervious. It's indestructible. This is... It's bust, but you got to keep it protected. Yeah, it will rust, really. I don't know about AUS 10. I've never owned enough knives in AUS 10. As a matter of fact, I've never owned a knife in AUS 10. These are the first. I don't know how this is for rust, but I do know that for edge retention, this shit seems to be the bee's knees when it comes to edge retention. But I'm not surprised because Cold Steel has done a really good job. Hey, Sergeant Rock! How much does this go for? These are like 100 something. There's the everyday version, and then there's the you really fucked up version. Like if you really fucked up, I'm getting this one. Yeah, these are not that much. I can't remember. I have affiliate links to Blade HQ down below. You can check them out. But this is the Espada series by Cold Steel. I used to love Cold Steel's AUS 8, honestly. Yeah, their Cold Steel was great. You want the crazy? This is the crazy version? Like I need 2 hands to swing this so that I can cut you into pieces. I'll send you a link to it. I'll send you a link to it, brother. Yeah, it's their OS 8 was great. Their OS 10 is pretty good. And like I said, this one did come with a little bit of a burr, and I was afraid that it was going to be like a burnt edge or something. And it just really, hang on a second. I don't think it was that much. Cold Steel Espada XL. Well, that didn't fucking work at all. Old Steel Espada. So go to Blade HQ here. So the Cold Steel Espada XL, the one that I have in hand, G10. These are $149 for the XL. This one is $129 for the large. You know what? I asked that question, and everybody I talked to has said that, yes, that is absolutely normal. I'll tell you what, I've gotten to where I kind of like it because on a lot of other knives, like this one's not too bad. To clean off that surface, you got to have like a thin Q-tip to get in between the scales and then clean that surface. I don't have to do that with this. I can basically just take... Where have I got something here? I don't want to get oil. Some of these rags don't get oil on them. Oh, here we go. The Chris Reeves towel will work perfectly for this. So to clean that off, when it starts getting gunk and stuff all over it, I simply can just do this and just wipe that off and clean that surface, because you'll get gunk and stuff on it. But it makes it, having that good of an access to those areas means that you can clean this out pretty easily. Other knives, okay, so look how far inside on this one it is to get to clean that tang. As much as I love this knife, when it gets dirty, and it does because there's so many big openings. This is my favorite knife ever. But there's so many big openings on this knife that it just collects so much dirt. But you've got, like, you can't just get down in. You got to have something thin to get down in there, right? So either you've got to, well, it's not that critical. You can just run this under hot water. So it's pretty good. Who's Mick Ranger? Well, hello. This one is a nightmare to keep clean because it's a button lock, so the stuff gets in that mechanism in there, and it's just such a pain to clean up. That's the thing. Button locks are a pain. Stuff gets up under the button. And because the button is hollow, stuff works its way in, and you'll take this apart and you're like, why does that feel so, like the button feels gritty? And you'll take it apart and you'll pull the plunger off, and then there's just like gunk and stuff that has somehow worked its way underneath. So if you guys don't know, a button lock, this top of the button comes up, and then it basically, it looks like one of these, but with with this on both sides, right? With a narrow shaft, it's a little bit more than this. But this is the bottom, and it's cupped, and so it's open. It's open, and so stuff can get up under there because there's a spring underneath that button at the bottom, under here. And so when you take it apart, hey, check this out. Hey, what's this sound like? It sounds like you just got kicked out of the fucking chat. So a button lock is great. They're great. They're a safe lock. You can disengage them. A lot of times they Q-tips and KPL. I know, but still, like, that's an additional cost. I can literally just wipe this off. Most knives I just run them under the sink anyway. But with a button lock, you do have stuff that gets under the cup of that plunger, and then you're like, ah. Crap, I gotta clean that out. I want to. Why am I still standing at this point? I got 2 bad knees and I'm just standing. I'm like, why is my knee hurt? Because you're standing, you idiot. That's what this. Why I got this fucking bar stool. Josh Bender's here. What's up, Army? Button locks are fun for fidget factor. They can be, like I said, They're a pain. They're kind of a pain to clean. They're not as strong when it comes to if you're somebody that's going to do a bunch of spine whacking. No, I'm not a Forged in Fire fan. It's the dumbest way to make a knife. The dumb. Let me make a TV show completely about the dumbest and hardest way to make a knife. I've been good. I've been good. I'm gonna wind up breaking this. I keep forgetting I put my microphone in my pocket. I just, like I said, I like things that are simple to clean. I'm gonna clean it anyway. Like if I'm gonna clean it, I'm gonna take it apart. So button locks can be really, really good. They kind of bridge that gap with some of the other knives. Having a good strong, because they are really, really strong. There's not much chance of a button lock failing because they are a complete 90-degree, like we talked about in yesterday's live feed. I was not Swick. I wound up, I finished out my career with NECC. It was the, what do they call it? Naval Expeditionary Combat Command. So it was pretty much a newly formed unit. We took over a lot of the duties and responsibilities. We took over MARSOC and SEAL's duties so that they could focus on other stuff, little stuff. Like we did non-compliant boardings. We took over shit from the Marines. We took over Rivron and intercoastal boat units and things like that the Marines were doing. We took over FAST. And so we had the flyaway VBSS and stuff like that. So it fell under Spec War, but it wasn't SWIC, and I definitely wasn't a SEAL. I wound up, I got to do a lot of stuff. It was a lot of fun, but you know, that's not what we're here to talk about. I don't like talking about my military stuff. Like people are like, I'm going to tell you something that really kind of does rub people the wrong way when I say this. If you're watching a channel and they talk about all the Gucci and cool shit that they did, which a lot of us did get to do a lot of cool and Gucci shit, but a lot of times it's over embellishment. And I don't put a lot of stock in those channels after that. You know what I mean? It gets overplayed. And I do understand, I understand that it's a selling point for a lot of channels. I just don't find it. Like, I'm not in the military anymore. I'll tell you what you never see. Well, occasionally you'll see it. I will wear occasionally like a shirt that is like a unit shirt or something like that, just because it's in my drawer. But you're not going to see me like running around wearing like a fucking military emblem and blazing cap and things like that. I had my warfare pins on my hat at one point because those are a point of pride. You know, those are things that you earned. But I have my challenge coins and stuff from units that I was with and things like that. Like this one, MSD 32 and things like that. But I loved every minute of it. So really, like, you guys don't have to thank me for my service. I enjoyed every fucking minute of it. Like, I wouldn't have done it any other way. Well, I mean, let's think about picking on the Army. It's not that hard. It's low-hanging fruit. Yeah, like I was saying, I've never had enough knives in OS 10 to really know, like, how I'm going to like it. Like, you can tell me about a steel all the time. Oh, yeah, it's really good at this and it's really good at that. Until I own it and I've carried it a bunch. Like, I've had this since before New Year, I want to say. I got this. It's so far it seems really good. And I mean, OS 10 softer, no. Here's the thing, it's cold steel's OS 10. So I mean, it's probably gonna be the best you're gonna get. You know what I mean? There's some companies that just always do a good job with heat treat. Kunwu, Cold Steel, and anything that like, I don't want to say this, but there's some other companies that just kind of get heat treat. Oh, Alex Steingraber from Steingraber Performance Knives. He always gets heat treat right. This is an incredible knife. This is an incredible. What would I compare it to? I haven't sharpened it yet, so yes and no. Josh. My shoulder's really fucked up. I can't do it that way anymore. I had kind of changed. I don't offer sharpening anymore as a service anymore. So John, I really don't know what I would compare it to because I haven't sharpened it yet. So I don't know what it's going to feel like on stones, but the edge retention on it it's starting to feel up there with some of the more higher end steels. You know what I mean? This is not the high end version of this knife. This is like the lower end version. I'll let that one in. I'll let that one in. What was this I got here? Hello, everyone. Paranormal investigators from the UK here. New to your channel, bud. Nice channel. Thank you very much, Spirit Brothers UK. It's hard to make the comparison. The whole thing is I haven't been able to do a whole lot of stuff with this. But the stuff I have done, it's done great. I'm very surprised I did a bunch of kitchen stuff with this knife the other day. And I did some kitchen stuff with this knife the other day. And I'm kind of surprised. I never did a cold steel AUS 10, but I remember it being soft and raw. Now, so AUS 10, when it first started coming out knives, there was some problems. I had a buddy that gave me a knife in AUS 10 to sharpen, and I told him, I was like, you need to send this back. There's something wrong with it. And he was like, what? And I was like, I can't sharpen it. It wasn't that it would roll. It would just not, you couldn't deburr it. Like it would just form a burr back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, it's not doing what I expect a steel to do when I sharpen it. It just did not want to give up that burr. Unlike Bender, who gave up the butt. That's what I heard anyway. Like if you were downrange and you were feeling lonely, a mini Snickers and a pack of Skittles, and Bender would give up the butt. That's just what I was told. That's what I heard from some guys that were deployed with him. That's, you guys, if you've ever been downrange, if you're ever in the military and you're downrange, everybody thinks it's a joke, but the females downrange, and I'm not trying to be, I'm not being facetious. You could fucking, I was married. I never have cheated on my wife. I never would cheat on my wife. Sergeant Rock got it. He liked it. Females downrange, save the packs of Skittles from your MREs because you could get a Hummer behind a Hummer for a pack of Skittles. From what I was told, guys were like, "Hey man, you gonna eat your Skittles?" I'm like, "No, here. Fuck, she's not even hot, dude." Yeah, I know we've been here for 4.5 months, but she's not that hot. I've seen the pictures of your old lady. She's not that hot. And I got news for you. If any of these guys are your friends, I hear the stories that come around. Like that guy over there, Dave. Telephone, telegraph, tele-Dave. He's going to tell everyone, and your wife's going to find out. He may tell your wife. So it's not a joke. Shit like that does happen. I lost a lot of respect. I lost a lot of respect for guys that I was in the military with when we would go places and we'd be away from our significant others. I had guys that I really had a lot of respect for, and then we would go somewhere and you see them, we would hit a Liberty port, and I was like, guys, we have only been gone for 2 weeks. The ship has only been gone for 2 weeks. And these guys were going to hotels with hookers and stuff like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Leadership guys that I had respect for, that I kind of looked up to. And I lost a lot of respect for guys that I was deployed with. I never fell into that. I guess I never put on the deployment goggles. But then again, I grew up in a part of the country where it was basically, the 1800s. And no matter, I asked my grandfather one time, I was like, you never once, I think I was 17. I was 17 when I joined. I came home. I'd been gone a year. And I came home and I saw my grandpa and I was like, Grandpa, you've been married for 50 years. And he goes, uh-huh. I was like, you never once thought about cheating on Grandma? He's like, nope. I was like, never once. You never cheated on her, you never once thought about it. He's like, nope. I was like, well, how? And he was like, I just kept one thing in mind. He struck a match and he put it on my arm and burned me. I was like, what the fuck? And he looked at me and goes, hell's a lot hotter than that, boy. And I was like, ooh, the old man got a point. So, a supply chick, yeah. I would have lost a lot of Skittles in the military. I just, I just never fell into that trap. I just couldn't. Like, I love my wife. Like I fucking, my grandpa had a lot of good ones. I caught my grandfather one time. I was telling Chris Williamson this. I was like, I drove up to my parents' house was down at the bottom of the hill. And when you drive up to the top of the hill was where my grandparents. So it was like 2 miles, mile and a half, 2 miles. And I went up there and I drove up after school to see if my grandpa needed anything. And he had changed the oil in the tractor. Now, keep in mind, we had gotten rid of all the cattle. I was getting ready to graduate high school. I was joining the Navy. He knew this. We'd sold off all the cattle. We didn't do milking cows and we didn't do calf cow anymore and stuff like that. The I go up and I came up to see if he needed any help. I was done with school, drove up in my car after school just to stop by, see if Grandpa needed any help with anything, like is any fence need done? Is there something you need? You need me to go like clear out an area? I got a couple hours. It was like a Friday, and he changed the oil in the tractor, and he's got this big basin. This was a 1947 Ford Selectomatic, and I think it held like 10 quarts of oil. And so like it had a massive base. So he changed the oil. He's got this big basin of oil, and he's pouring it along the bottom of the base of the house to keep the weeds from growing right against the cinder block at the foundation and keep the ants out of the house. And I was like, Grandpa, you can't just pour oil on the ground like that. Engine oil, you can't just do that. And he looked at me and goes, came out the goddamn ground, didn't it? And I was like, well, how do you really argue with that? Like I got nothing. I got nothing. I really don't have a leg to stand on. I came home from I had met a girl that worked on base when I was on my first ship. And we flew home together because she didn't have anywhere to go. We both took leave, and I'm like, I'm going home. Do you want to come with me? Like, it'll be fun. Like, it's the middle of nowhere. She was from the city. I was like, I'm from the middle of nowhere. You'll love it. It's the country. And she goes, yeah, you know what? That sounds fun. And so she flew home. And it wasn't a serious relationship, but it was just something she'd never really gotten to go to the middle of nowhere where I grew up. Town of 124 people, which is now 40. There's 40 people in my hometown now. That's it. There's more people in my neighborhood than there are in my hometown. There's more people at Walmart right now than there are people in my hometown. And so we go and, my mom and dad were like, okay, whatever. And I still had a room. I'd only been in the Navy like 2 years. And so she and I came home and she stayed for like 2 weeks and I stayed for a whole month. And so my grandfather comes down and we're sitting in the living room and he's looking at me. He goes, Michael John, I heard you brought a girl home with you. I was like, yeah, she came back from. He's like, where's she at? And I was like, she borrowed Mom's car and went into town because she needed a couple things. She went into town. She's getting some stuff for Mom. I gave her directions. He's looking around and he goes, how come the couch ain't met up? He's like, how come the couch isn't made into a bed? And my mom looks like, well, they're both sleeping in Michael John's room, Dad. And he goes, you letting them sleep together in this house under your roof? And she's like, yeah, I mean, like they're adults. And I looked at my grandpa. I was like, Grandpa, times have changed. He looked at me and goes, red words in the Bible ain't changed none. And I was like, once again, I got fucking nothing. Pap had me in a corner and he was beating me up against the corner. I couldn't come off the ropes. I got nothing. There was no response to that at all. So, yeah, he was interesting. He definitely was interesting. World War II veteran, Purple Heart. He was just a great, crazy old dude. Loved him to death. Everybody was worried because my wife's Japanese. Everybody was worried about what my grandfather was going to say when I came home married to a Japanese national, like married to a Japanese girl. He loved her. Like he's like, you ever been fishing? And she was like, I don't think. He's like, all right, come on, let's go. And I was like, by. I mean, she didn't speak much English. I was teaching her English because I speak Japanese. And he took my wife fishing, and she comes back happy, just crazy happy. And I was like, what happened? He goes, you should see what she got. Pulls out this great big catfish that they had hauled out of the river together. My father-in-law, or my grandfather, took my wife down to the river. She caught a catfish that was almost as big as her. And they brought it by the house. He goes, she goddamn fisherman, I'll tell you. Maybe it's because they live close to the ocean, bunch of islands, but she got the knack. And I was like, absolutely loved that old dude. Wasn't even playing. He's like, get in the truck, let's go. Ever been fishing? All right, come on, let's go. And I was like, go fishing with Grandpa. I have a blast. Absolutely had a blast. Every time we come home, he's just wanted to, like, it was one of those things, like, he loved people. He didn't care. It wasn't the thing about, like, World War II. It wasn't a fact of, he was doing his duty and he did what was called for. He never had an issue with my wife being Japanese. He didn't it's the same thing that with my in-laws that are Japanese. They do not treat me any differently than they treat their own children. So, no. Here's the thing. So COVID happened, and here in San Diego, it was pretty bad. So Josh is talking about, if you guys don't remember, there used to be a lot of videos that came out of us just in the shop. And it was me and Matt, my buddy Tino, Nico, Chris, and Elliot. A couple other guys would be in and out. And we were always at Fair and Forge Knife Works. I was making knives up there. Well, for a long time, that business center would not let anyone in. And so everything started to kind of just like, everybody kind of drifted apart. Matt moved closer to me, but his job got more hectic and he didn't have time off. Now he's got a kid, he got married. And so it just wasn't compatible with what we were doing. The brewery that was right across the parking lot closed and relocated to out of state. And I was like, everything just kind of drifted apart. Elliot got married. Chris got married and has a kid and another one on the way. Elliot got married. Now he's got 2 stepkids plus his 2 kids from his previous marriage. It just has kind of been one of those things. But the fact is that when we do get together, when you form a really good friendship, it's almost like my friendship with Chris and Elliot and those guys is a lot like my military friendships. Like you get used to this in the military. You're going to get put together with a group of people. And that group of people is going to become more than just friends. It's going to become like a family. And then after a period of about 2 to 4 years, you're all going to have to say goodbye and go somewhere else. However, when you do meet, I had a friend that came from New York. It was a surprise visit. Our kids hooked this up. His daughter and my daughter set this up. Came all the way from New York for a weekend and stayed here. And to tell you the truth, it was like not a day had passed since I have not seen him. To put this in perspective, I haven't seen him in over 20 years. And he shows up at my house. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. He was here the month my daughter was born. So I haven't seen him in 16 years, 17 years. So in 17 years, when he showed up, it was like not a day had passed. And that's when you build really good friendships. When I stopped at Chris and Elliot's and it was like we had never even skipped a day of seeing each other. It was that's how you know, no, she's in college, bro. She skates, but she just doesn't have time. She's got so much going on. Like I won't see her. I took her to the trolley station this morning at 7 and I won't see her till 9 when she comes back off the trolley. She's a computer science major and she works for a cybersecurity company here in San Diego. She does telework. So she works like 3 hours a day as she's technically a paid intern. So I do lives at the shop. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but like we all change, mature. Like I think things changed. I started working for myself. I started doing all that. And then I worked for a construction company for a period of time. I'm starting to work for what used to be like here in the next, God, it just seems like it's taken forever to get this started. I'm working for a company that used to be what was called Blackwater, in case you guys know, private military corporation. I'm starting with them here in a matter of, like, I thought it was starting this week, but I got an email like, oh no, it's not this week. And I was like, oh, I misunderstood the entire context of the email that we had going back and forth. So I mean, it's just, it's different. But when you have a really good friendship, it's almost like no time has passed. And like I said, the only reason we're doing this live feed right now, because my tripod broke and I had to order stuff. I did not realize that there were some companies that are, oh hey look, part of my tripod. There's companies that do business online but still will deliver locally. And when I talked to them on the phone, I was like, where are you guys at? And they're like, well, we don't have a storefront. It's not like you can stop by and pick up stuff. We do all of our stuff online sales. And I'm like, oh shit. And they're like, well, what is it you need? And I did it. She's like, well, I can take your order over the phone. And we have a guy that goes out and does our shipping run. She's like, where are you located? And I gave her the, she's like, oh, you're really close. She's like, when he does today's deliveries, when he does our shipping run, because apparently they get everything put together and then they take it to the post office because it's easier because it's after hours. So that he, like, some stuff goes UPS, some stuff goes, he just takes the stuff out. She goes, he drops off just around the corner from you. I was like, cool. And so gave him my address. He's going to drop off my new tripod and the camera mount. I broke the when it fell over, these nice expensive camera mounts that I use for everything. They're kind of proprietary. They're made for my B-roll camera, my action cam, and my green screen cam. It broke. One of these broke. Only knives I have left is the flipperless Archbishop 2.0 I got from Matt, and the Gent I coated. You coated the blade, Matt anodized the liners, Nico dipped the skin. Yeah, that was one of the cooler projects we did. So back in the day, Nico doesn't even do hydrographics anymore. So Nico does AC and R work now, and also works at a brewery. And he's all the way up in Palm Springs area. And so can't even do that, get those anymore. Just so you guys know what I'm talking about, he dipped the scales. He dipped the scales on this knife for me. This is a Ferrum Forge Gent. He dipped the scales. Shit. I can't show you the handles on my Sig Sauer pistol that is over here. He hydrographic those with that rattlesnake pattern. But we did a lot of stuff. There were some projects where I would do some work, Matt would do some work, and Nico would do some work just because we were hanging out and doing fun stuff together. And then Matt sold that knife. I can't remember who sold you the Gent from Matt. Yeah, that's what I thought. Matt did the liners. If I remember, were they purple or blue? Nico did the scales. I did the coating, and Matt did the anodizing. Or Matt and I worked together on that because I was teaching Matt how to do some of that stuff. So blue, yeah. I couldn't remember if it was purple or blue. They came out really nice. I think I'm gonna try and get, as soon as I can get this shoulder to a point where it doesn't like just absolutely kill me all the time and ache, I'm gonna get my grinder out and I'm going to make myself one of my yeah, that's right. The scales were black and blue Cryptek. Yeah, I remember now. Black blade. So it came out nice. That was one of those ones we worked on together. We would do a lot of just little goofy projects, just hanging out. Like, oh, let's do this. That led to a lot of fun with us doing stuff like that. Yeah, black blade. Yeah, that one came out awesome looking. But yeah, there's gonna be a change in the amount of content that we have on this channel once I start working. I mean, I still have 2 days off, and I'm gonna work 6 to 2. So that means I should be able to, but it's gonna be really hard for me to do the live feeds. So we're gonna see how things go. You know what? I haven't done it in a while. It is well after noon. I haven't done this in a while. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it's garage temperature. It's not like it's it's not like it's not like it's like 90 degrees out here. It's in the 60s. Haven't had a beer with y'all on a live feed. It is midday here, and like I said, I can't fucking do anything right now. So, yeah. I can't think of anything. Yeah, I got the job. I'm just waiting for it to start. I just like it's the problem is that the job that I take requires a specific training that we have to do first. And so they don't have a trainer locally. You got to have a specific certification to do this training. And so I'm just on hold until they can get a trainer out here. I thought it was going to be this week, but I think that he has to come from out east somewhere. So really, there we go. I haven't had a beer in a while. I basically quit drinking. I have not had a beer in a while. These are over there. I didn't buy these. My buddy brought, what was it you were going to do? I can't really say. It's a private military corporation. You basically sign a non-disclosure agreement when you get hired. It used to be Blackwater. So, like, basically, I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to get into it. Just saying, like, I got the job. So, what kind of container is that beer? What kind of container is that for a beer? These, my buddy bought these because he likes. These are the pints, apparently. So, I mean, these are 16. These are 16 ounces. They're a little bit bigger. They're not quite a tall boy, but like I think a tall boy is what 20 or 22 ounces. This is a 16. Like it's somewhere in between a can of beer and a tall boy. I didn't buy them. My buddy came over and brought like a 15 pack of these like a week or two ago and left half of them here. I was like, take your beer with you. He goes, nah, I don't need it. I was like, well, I kind of yeah, I would say a tall boy's 24. These are 16 and a can is 12. Free beer. Hey, free beer's cool, but like I said, I had pretty much quit drinking. I don't. Why? Like I'm at this point, I'm like, well, I don't need to drink, and I've had enough therapy at this point that I'm like, oh, well, I was drinking for medicative purposes, not just because I enjoyed to have a beer. It went from like I enjoy beer to like, oh, I see a benefit from drinking beer. I'm not losing my fucking mind. Then it turned into, well, now I'm just drinking because it acts as a medication. And then I found the right therapist. I went through like 3 or 4 therapists before I found the one that was the right one for me. Like a lot of times they'd be like, later, Josh. A lot of times therapists, you got to find the right therapist. Like just having a therapist isn't enough. Having the right therapist that's willing to work with you and listen to you and do stuff. The therapist I have now is a retired Marine. I think he's 46 or 47. He's almost my age, but he retired after 20 and went to college and got a degree and became a psychologist. And so he was a combat Marine. And so we share a lot of the same things with the PTSD stuff and stuff like that. And so it's a perfect fit and he's not going anywhere. I had a lot of therapists that having a therapist that understands you on a level like that is much, much better. And he was like, I don't think you enjoy drinking as much as you think you do. And I started thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I think you're right. Because there's times that I just will drink that I was just drinking just because I felt I needed to drink. And that's not a healthy mindset because that leads into drinking because you have to drink to be normal. I was drinking because I thought I needed to drink as opposed to needing to drink. And when you start saying things like, well, I need to get a drink, that's not a healthy mindset when you start getting into those. I think it's been a better part of a month since I had a beer. It does taste good though. Like I can actually sometimes a really big fire. Like Josh, are we talking like that person pissed me off and their house is now my bonfire? Well, that's a big campfire you got there. Yeah, yeah, it was my neighbor's house. They got on that FAFO chart somewhere right there. There's a point on that FAFO chart where it is I stand around your house and watch it burn with a fucking bag of with a handful of sharpened sticks and a bag of marshmallows. We're on that chart level. Like, oh okay. See you later. Really, really big fire. We had a really, really big fire. I don't know if you guys saw it. We had the Border Fire 2 was just around. I mean, it was close. I didn't get any video of it. It's hard to get video of stuff like that. It really doesn't show up the way you would think it would. Low light conditions with the like with the cameras I have and stuff. It just didn't come out. But I could see the fire from my garage at night. I could see it, and I definitely still am cleaning up ash. Like there's ash in like the ash that was in the air was so bad. Like it was everywhere. So there was like everything had like you can still let me see. Oh, here. There's ash on top of my charger port over here that I just haven't cleaned up yet. So it's just not that I haven't. It's just like it's still like kind of lingering in the air. And when you clean up and you move around, it's just like I vacuumed the rug that's out here in the studio, and because the dog, the dog sheds, golden retrievers they shed, but there was so much gray ash that came out of that. I was like, holy crap! And I dumped it in the trash can. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh yeah, all the ash that was on everything. Oh here. Can you see it? That's been sitting. I didn't clean this yet. That was sitting on my workbench for the last couple weeks. That's just ash that was in the air just from this fire. It was all over everything. It's on my grinder. It's on every horizontal surface out here in the studio. And there's so many shelves and stuff out here. It's going to take me forever to get it all cleaned up. Some of these knives are going to be going back to Jared and he goes, what is all this fucking dust? What is all this? Oh, it's burnt trees. So, William, what's good, Peckerwood? Who, William, who, what? A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff's going on. I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of bullshit that goes around. Like, this is from a company called Kaiser. And I've heard a bunch of people talking about like, oh, Kaiser this, Kaiser that. And yes, it's a Chinese company, but I got to tell you, I have yet to have a bad Kaiser knife. I just don't know if it's their production house or what. But all of their knives have been just pretty much stellar. I've had a couple that had little minor issues, but for the most part, their knives have been amazing. And this is absolutely, I think, one of the best knives they make. This is that Begleiter XL button lock. This thing's just incredible. It's even in a steel that I'm not a super big fan of. But holy crap, is this thing good. This doesn't get near as much pocket time as it should. This was a gift from my buddy. So just a great, great knife overall. Ooh, pardon me. I'll tell you another thing I noticed. I quit drinking, like I said, about a month. I pretty much quit drinking completely about a month ago. But before that, I would have a few beers here and there. I get such bad heartburn. Like even if I'm gonna have heartburn just from drinking this one beer, it's gonna suck. And I didn't think about it until I started drinking it. What was this? I love the Gemini Critical and GPB1 from a few years back. Those are great. I'll tell you something that I dug out that I hadn't carried in a while. Speaking of Vosteed knives we were talking about. This is the Vosteed. Hey, I have to tell you some. Waiting, because that wasn't a complete sentence. If you guys want to get probably one of the best affordable small knives on the market, this is the Vosteed Mini Nightshade. I absolutely love this thing. This is probably the best knife that they make. This is better than the full-size version. And the way it sits in your hand, you can't tell it's a mini. If you have not checked out the Vosteed, like, you should check out the Vosteed Mini Nightshade with my link to Vosteed knives down below. Just an amazing little knife. It's got that unique curvature to it and leaf-shaped blade. It's absolutely a beast. Rickard, I'm waiting. Just don't like crossbar. I like crossbar locks. I like crossbar locks if they're done well. This one's done incredibly well. This is the smoothness of this one. Oh, I saw that you had bought. I have an affiliate link with KATSU. I saw that you purchased one. Did you use my affiliate? Somebody just bought a KATSU knife with my affiliate link yesterday. This thing is really, really good. It's got that unique blade shape and drop down feel to it that it cuts so well. And the nice thing is it'll sit in your watch pocket really well. So I think I'm going to have to start wrapping this up. Let's see. I got to see if my wife has left work yet. My wife gets off between 1 and 2 most days. Let's see here. She is... No. But you know what? You can go bother people with fucking stupid questions on another channel. Fucking trolls. Like, they come in here, hey, let's fuck with people. Why? Like, you know what? The people that do that, the trolls that do shit like that are the same people that would never speak to you in public. Like, they would never come up to you and speak, like, oh, kick the shit out of you. I bet you would. I bet you would. I had somebody say that about me. I had a friend of mine come up to me and was like, they were like, oh, I found out Mike Emler's here. I'm gonna kick the shit out of him because I had said something in a video one time, and they were at a knife show, and he goes, oh, he's right over there, and they're like, oh, that's him, and there he is. That's like, they recognize him. We're like, oh shit, but he's way big. He came up, he's like, the guy realized how big you were and was like, oh fuck, I may have allowed my mouth to get me into a situation that I can't handle. The keyboard warriors are the same fucking way. Hey, you know, enjoy hanging out in your mom's basement. Everybody's wondering, like, if they mass deport a bunch of people, like, who's going to pick the fruit? And guys like him, I want to talk to his mom, be like, hey, you know that shiftless layabout you've got in your fucking basement that's never had a job in a day in his life? Yeah, he can go pick blueberries. Fucking stupid people. Like, this is why there should be a test. There should be a test before people have children. Like, you should have to, like, do you know enough about the world to realize that you're having a child and you're bringing them up? Are you going to be able to rear this child and turn them into a useful member of society? Big Dog, we don't do politics. That was not a political statement. That was a statement about lazy, stupid people. I'm like, that's what I was saying. Most of the people on TikTok, we don't do politics. I was just making a comment about stupid people, lazy people, and not being at all any worth to society. The whole fucking, like, I think that stupid people should have to pass a test to have children, because the problem is, like, we should mandate that smart people have more children and stupid people don't have any. You know what I mean? Like that should be a rule. Like, okay, you're allowed to have kids, but you're smart, so you've got to have 4. You're mildly intelligent, you can have 2. You're too dumb, you can't have any. Right? Like that's just how it should work, because like the whole thing is Idiocracy was not supposed to be a documentary. It wasn't supposed to be a path forward. Right? Like, oh, no. See, like I can tell just by talking to you that your parents fucking let you eat paint chips. And so therefore your child's going to be all fucked up. Stupid people. Absolutely love the Kunwu stuff. If you guys have not ever gotten a hold of a Kunwu knife, they are really, really good. This is, we were talking about heat treat a little bit ago, about cold steel. I said Kunwu. I forgot that I had this out. This has got the best heat treat on LMAX steel I've ever had. I've had custom knives at LMAX, and the heat treat on this is better than some of those custom knives. Now, that doesn't mean anything. I don't care. I don't care about your perspective and why my perspective is wrong. It's not a debate. We were talking about other things. The heat treat, you're interrupting the flow of the chat. We're talking about this knife now. You've been escorted. The heat treat on this is better than custom knives. And I say that, but I know for a fact that not all custom knives are great. Not all custom knives are going to have a good heat treat. They really don't. But typically you're going to get a more consistent heat treat or something more along the lines, especially if they're using something that is repeatable, like a, what do you want to call it? Like a kiln. Instead of trying to do forged heat, your forged heat treat is, it's iffy at best, because like you're basing it on the color of the steel, like what it's glowing at versus a set temperature, right? There's a lot of folks that do like even the even heat ovens for their heat treat. That's what I did when I did custom knives. I never forged anything, so it was a set temperature at quench. It was a set temperature for the temper, and so you usually get a pretty consistent one. A lot of custom knife makers like that. The heat treat, I don't know what heat treat they used on this, like what temperature they did the quench and everything, but this thing is absolutely incredible with the heat treat. The edge it takes, and you can typically tell the difference between a good heat treat and a bad heat treat by there. If you've handled enough knives and you've sharpened enough knives, there is a feel to a knife that has like a crazy good edge. Like there's a feel like, ooh, I'm scared of that. That's what this has. Like the edge that this takes is just like, you're like, oh, that's cutting me. And good LMAX is like that, but this is like the hands down best LMAX heat treat that I've found so far. And so if you haven't tried a Kunwu knife, they set themselves out. They said that they wanted to offer the best heat treat you can get on a knife. And I think they've done a really good job. I sent a knife from Kunwu to Alex over at Outdoors 55, who, by the way, I did a video call with him. You may see a video on his channel with me in it. We talked about some stuff, and we were talking about the knife that I sent him, and like the heat treat on it is just insane. Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once. My daughter sent me a text. My daughter sent me a text, and I'm trying to see, because she's letting me know what's going on. We've got some things to talk about when she gets home before the weekend. So yeah, it's really, really good. Bark River Knives does a really good job with their heat treat. I have found a lot of Bark River knives that have some inconsistencies. They're handmade, but there are some inconsistencies in what you get from them from time to time. But they have got an amazing warranty. And I always say a warranty is not something that should be offered in lieu of quality, but they have both. Their knives are quality, and like if you break one of their knives, Like, it's guaranteed. Like, the owner of the company said there's nothing you can do to your knife that they won't warranty. And I was like, seriously? And apparently the only thing is if you break it while fighting off a honey badger in the great wild north. Apparently that is the only thing that's not covered under your warranty. Like, that's a direct quote from the owner of the company. I'm like, that's pretty cool that you can, that your products are warranted that well. They do an amazing job with their LMAX. This is, like I said, this is probably the best I've had ever on LMAX. Outside of, there was one better. Elliott Williamson did a knife in LMAX, and I have one right here. I have one right here. This is an LMAX, and Elliott's heat treat on this was better. But it's also almost impossible to sharpen. This is some of the hardest steel to sharpen I've ever had, just because it's hard. It's really, really hard. His LMAX heat treat, I think, was a little bit better, but it was a custom in-house heat treat. This is the only LMAX. I forgot about this one. This is the only LMAX. This is the only LMAX that I've had that was better than what's in this. What is this? You see the SCC CPM D2 testing. No, I have not. You'll have to send me a link to that, Aiden. Guys, I think I'm going to end this. I want to get this all cleaned up, and I want to... What is this? That's okay, Mr. Stewart. I love my goodies way more than any knife, so I'll take a hard pass. Essie does... Yeah, Essie's another one. Okay, there's a handful. Tops, Essie, Bark River, Elliott with his knives. If you are the original owner of a knife, if he can't repair your knife, he will replace it with a new knife. I'm the initial owner on almost every knife I have from Fair and Forged Knife Works, and Elliott has been awesome at like, if something happens, I just take it in and he fixes it. So it's one of those things. Go custom knife makers, local if you can. There's not a lot of people. Elliott's only doing it because, okay, so if you guys watched the video, Elliott Williamson talked about the 2 worst years. There's a lot of knife companies out there that are just, they're going to go under. And it has nothing to do with the current administration and things like that. It's just, it's not this year. It's not like, oh, new president, new policies. That has nothing to do with it. A lot of people are trying to blame it on that, but it has nothing to do with that. Like Elliott said, everyone's sales are down 50% or higher. Like everyone he deals with. And so that means multiple companies across the board, plus the people that he's friends with and talks to on a regular basis, because he knows almost all of the knife makers, including ProTech and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with the current administration. This is not a political thing that's happening. This is just that knife sales are down to the tune of, for a lot of companies, 75%. So Elliott, I had a bunch of people comment, are like, well, of course their sales are down. There's nothing available on their website. I'm like, the reason there's nothing available on their website is because nothing sold. So they didn't, like, it took them so long to sell the stuff that they had that it didn't make sense for them to get another run because they were not going to recoup their money in a timely fashion. So it didn't make any sense. So the overhead of the places that they had been renting just ate into it. So Elliott, they've moved back into a garage. Elliott has a lot of stuff, and he's just going to basically be making max level ADC. I'm going to talk about that too. He's just going to, like he said, he's just going to go back through stuff. And I know I owe you a sponsorship ad. I would do it, but my tripod is in pieces behind me. And I broke the mount for the camera that I use for the green screen stuff. So the camera, at least the camera is fine. So it's going to be at least till tomorrow. But what Elliott was saying was it's not just him that's down 50%. It's everyone across the board. And so instead of dumping money into getting a production run made, waiting for it to come in, then spending all the time to QA it, and then putting them up for sale, and then sending them out to vendors to just get raped on the fucking cost that vendors charge you. Like, he makes almost no money on knives through vendors. So him to do a production run makes no sense. So he's going to take those designs, he's going to go out to other companies and just get it done as design work, and then he'll get paid, you know, for those designs through other companies. But like he said, he has basically a graveyard full of parts of knives that he's made in the past that are 100% American made. They're going to be more expensive, but the fact is, they're not going to be much more expensive than like some of the Chinese made knives that you're seeing. Put things in perspective. This is 100% American made. This was $310. This, as much as I love this knife, and I love the guy that sent it to me as a gift, Tashi Baruch sent me this knife. This was $750 when they first came out. I think they're $550 now. This is a production knife. Granted, it's an integral, all kinds of cool bells and whistles, and there's a lot of machine work that goes into this. The reason that people were switching to Chinese knives was they were cheaper. But now we're at a point where some companies are offering knives outside of what would be sensible from what would be considered the cheaper versions. $310, $750, 100% American made, Chinese made. And don't get me wrong, it's a great knife. It's We Knife Company. They make an amazing knife. $750, $600, 100% American made, handmade, hand textured, absolutely a beast of a knife, all hand fit, all hand built, water jet, machining, and fit up and built in San Diego. Now, to Max Level EDC's point, burnout. I've said for a long time, companies are putting out too many models. There is just too much shit hitting the market at one time. People don't have as much expendable income right now after the last 4 years. It's not a political statement. This is just saying the last 4 years have been fucking rough. Most of us that had any disposable income no longer have it. And so companies just continue to put out new brands, new models and new models and new models. It's almost impossible to keep up with. As a fucking reviewer, I get frustrated. Pardon me, burping. As a reviewer, I get frustrated because I see knives that absolutely should be getting more attention, and they basically die. Like these designs are like, oh, well, they only did one run. Well, maybe if you hadn't jumped onto something new and shiny and tried to just keep pushing new stuff and new stuff and new stuff and hundreds of models, then it would be easier for you to sell the ones that you have, which I'm going to tell you right now, directly impacts, for us content creators, it's cool because we constantly get new stuff. I'm not that channel. Like, you're going to see, there's a lot of times I'm bringing back old stuff. I'm talking about, like, look, this knife is still available. This knife's been out, like, I did a video about, recently I talked about this knife in a video. I'd be like, why are you even showing that, bro? That thing's been out for like a year. Get something new. And I'm like, this is an amazing knife. This is the Max Ace Meerkat M. Why wouldn't I continue to show you a knife that you should probably pick up? Because it's going to benefit the designers. Here's the thing. Like, everybody thinks about, like, oh, yeah, the company's still making money. The designers aren't. Like, whoever designed this knife, if they only make one run of it, he won't ever make any more money off of that unless he can shop it around to a different company. I got news for you. Some companies want you to give them the design, and then they don't want anyone else to make it. You just sign a non-compete. So maybe whoever designed this for Max Ace can't take this Max Ace design, which is amazing, and sell it anywhere else, to shop it around, to have a different version of it made. You know what I mean? So you get people who are going to show me something new. I saw that knife a year ago. That doesn't make this knife any less good. And